Hello, everyone. My name is Joel Capijan. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with the TAP program in Rowan University. A little bit about myself. I am a junior faculty member at the Law and Justice Studies Department at Rowan University. This is my third year. I focus primarily on mass shootings, criminological theory, but also I teach a lot of research methods, basic statistics, and crime analysis through mapping. Now, one thing that you should know about me is that I have always had a dislike for textbooks. I don't like textbooks. I didn't like textbooks when I was a student in undergrad or grad school or in my PhD program. And I certainly don't like textbooks today. I think textbooks are quite expensive, and generally their quality does not warrant their price. But primarily, as an instructor, I feel that textbooks are too general, and sometimes they really don't fit with the content that I'm teaching. So sometimes I'll be teaching research methods, but I only focus on 30% of the book or 40% of the book. And so it's not really tailored to exactly the things that I am teaching. And so, to pay $150 for a textbook for which you're only going to use a third of the content, hard to justify it as an instructor. But primarily, I don't like textbooks because they represent, to many students, they represent a big obstacle. Many of our students come from working backgrounds, they're working themselves, and they can barely afford to go to college yet, let alone pay six, seven, $800 worth of textbooks per semester. I know that used to be an obstacle for me, and I know it is an obstacle for many of us students. Given my dislike of textbooks, you could imagine just how excited I was to hear about the TAP program at Rowan University. I feel that this program is really going to have a direct, tangible impact on so many of our students that just simply cannot afford a textbook. And so when I heard the announcement, I was very excited and I applied right away. Now, my first decision that I had to make when I was applying was which course do I want to get this started with? And I think that the course that I teach that blends itself really, really great to online resources is criminal justice research. Criminal justice research is essentially research methods courses. And as you know, research methods is a wide area of study. You have, qualitative research methods, quantitative research methods, mixed methods. I mean, you can spend a whole lifetime studying research methods. Now, the average cost of a textbook for criminal justice research is about $100. I think the cheapest one was about $80, and the most expensive one was about $150. At the Law and Justice Studies Department, we teach about 14 courses per year. And the average number of students in those courses is 28. Given these numbers, we can estimate that we can save our students about $14,000 per year. $40,000 per year in textbooks. This is a huge amounts of money that they can use to feed themselves, to clothe themselves. So my goal coming into this was to replace my textbook. However, I also know that other professors use different textbooks because they focus on different things. Some professors are more qualitative, some professors are more quantitative, some professors are more mixed, they give a better balance. And so my goal was not just to replace my textbook, but also provide resources for other professors to use. I just don't want to replace my textbook. I want to replace everyone's textbook. So to accomplish this goal, there were a couple of steps that I took. The first step was really to contact faculty members and ask for their syllabi. I wanted to create a comprehensive list of topics from which to by going through their syllabus, I found three main areas that I needed to focus on: foundations, things that are relevant for qualitative and quantitative researchers; quantitative and qualitative areas. Those were the three main areas that I needed to hit in order for me to satisfy everyone's needs, not just my own. The second step was to search for the sources. And yes, I wanted academic sources. I want online books. I want journal articles. I want school resources. But I also understood that instructional videos were going to be key for criminal justice research, particularly when it came to statistics and conducting statistical analysis using SPSS. The third step was to assess the quality of the resources. Who wrote it? What schools were they from? Read the resources, read the text to assess the quality. And particularly understand that there were different levels. Some resources, so for example, I would find a chapter on regression, and some chapters were very mathematical and more abstract, perhaps better for a master level course, and some chapters were more conceptual and easier to read, and that would have been better suited for an undergrad course. And this is particularly relevant in research methods, is that there are different takes on the same issue. And so I also wanted to get additional sources, additional chapters, additional videos to give professors, to give instructors the flexibility to choose resources that match better with their opinion on certain issues. The next step was to catalog the resources, and I used two things for that. As I was reading the resources, I would be using a spreadsheet to sort of catalog them and keep track of the sources that I found. So for example, here I would have sort of the topic, the resource type, whether it was a book, a news article, some type of instructional video. I will have information on the resource itself, where is it coming from, and also the online address. So that was my way of cataloging all the resources that I found. But also, ultimately, I want to catalog this in a website where anybody can just come, easily find the resources and select the resources that they actually need. So for example, currently I am working on a website which I'm calling Research Methods Resources. I'm very creative. But here you can see that I divided the website into three areas: general resources, quantitative resources, and qualitative resources. And so, for example, for general resources, you can click on Foundations of Research, and you're going to have many different resources. What is this? What is science and the scientific research? What is science and how and why it works? The unit of analysis, constructs, theories, and models, and the 7 steps of the research process. And so currently that's what I'm working on, just sort of putting all this information here into a catalog to make it easier for people to find what they need. The last step, but definitely not the least, is to continue to review the resources. The first thing is that I want to hear from other faculty members. So I sent all my resources, the list that I cataloged, I sent it to the research methods instructors. I asked them to review it, to use them. Importantly, I want them to let me know what works, what doesn't work, and if also give me suggestions if they have a better resource in mind or an additional resource. Additional resources give more flexibility so that instructors can use the material that is needed for the type of class that they're leading, whether that is master's level or undergraduate, and the content of the class. In our case, it could be criminology. The context of the research methods in criminal justice research is the criminal justice process. And so we always want to find resources that not only teach the material, but also fit the overall theme of the class. Importantly, I also want to hear from students. So once I teach research methods, I will be taking a survey from the students, so, to gauge their opinion on on the readings and their usefulness and how much they learned and what they liked and what they didn't like. I think this kind of feedback is super important to make the necessary adjustments to make this a more fruitful experience for students in the future. So this is a process, and I will continue to work on these resources, not just for my own classes, but other faculty members, so that hopefully we can reach that $40,000 a year figure. We can replace every textbook in our department. So, what are the lessons that I learned by doing this? The first lesson that I learned, I was pleasantly surprised to find that there's a plethora of high quality sources that one can use in their courses. And these resources are really not very difficult to find. You just have to read them and assess the quality. That takes a little bit of time, but finding them is actually pretty easy. Obviously, some courses blends themselves better to online resources than others. However, this is not a very difficult endeavor. Also, the next thing that I learned is that I can actually improve the quality of instruction and the quality of the student experience by giving students a more tailored experience, giving them readings that actually fit precisely with their level and precisely with the overall theme of the class. I think that's really, really important. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, it removes a barrier for students. And finally, I want to thank Sean Hendricks and everyone at the TAB program for making this possible. I think this is something that the university can do, that all universities can do, that is tangible and will have a great impact in our students' lives. Thank you for all your support.